right, everybody, welcome to this workshop. My name is Maureen. I am the founder and owner of BarMD. We're a full service bar prep company, offer everything for pretty much any jurisdiction, especially California, the UBE. We do a lot of Florida, a lot of Georgia as well. So tonight we are going to just talk about what to do while you're waiting for results. I'm also happy to answer any questions. So if you do have a question, please type it into the Q&A section so that I can make sure that I address everything rather than putting it in the chat, just because a lot gets put in the chat. So I can lose track there. So tonight we're going to kind of keep it light, keep it fairly straightforward, just some practical stuff of like what to do while you're waiting for results. So let me share my screen. So today we're just going to talk about like what not to do while you wait for results, and also some good things that you can do and that I recommend doing while you wait for results. So that's really all we're going to cover today. Happy to stay on and answer questions at the end as well. And I'll talk about some other stuff we have going on as well coming up for here at BarMD. So what not to do first. This is very much dependent on you as an individual. So I don't know about you guys, but like for me, when I studied for the bar and when I was in law school, talking about exams gave me so much anxiety that I would rather avoid it and just wait until I got my results. So just in terms of like really like running through the nitty gritty of every exam. And what I want to say too about that is I would walk out of an exam and promptly forget what I had written. And so I don't know if a lot of you are like this too, but I see it with so many people. They will be absolutely convinced that they didn't write about something. I have been totally convinced that I didn't address something. And then it turned out I did a complete analysis on a particular issue. So that's why I say it really depends on the person, but I think it can be if you know yourself and you know that if you hear somebody say that they talked about a particular issue and you know that you didn't talk about that, or you think that you didn't talk about it, it's good to just sort of avoid that. And not necessarily get into talking about it. But that's absolutely, an individual thing. If it does help you to talk about it, if you want to talk about certain things, then, you should feel free to. But keep in mind that we do often forget like what we did and what we didn't do. We often just like walk out of an exam feeling like remembering just the things that were really difficult about it. Another thing is don't overanalyze and obsess about the essays when they're released. We won't know exactly what the bar examiners were looking for until for California, the selected answers are released, and for the UBE, once we get the analysis sheets as well. And even when you get the point sheets or the analysis sheets for the UBE, when they say what issues you were looking for, those go way, way overboard. So it tells you everything you could possibly have addressed. It doesn't tell you just what you needed to address. On that note, though, for California folks, I am doing a workshop next week. I think it's next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock Pacific time, where I'm going to go over the California essays that were just released. I will go and do a deep dive and do an analysis of the essays and on the performance test. So that's going to be next week. So register for that, totally free. So you can join if you want to, but don't feel pressured to also. So my goal is like, I never want to stress people out, more than is necessary. And I don't ever really want to stress people out. So, know yourself. And if that's something you want to be able to come and watch, listen to, and, be able to ask questions about, I will be doing that next week. Also try not to obsess about the exam. It's a little bit, it's so much easier said than done, but try to just sort of let it go for now. I always say like, the first few weeks, a month after the exam, it can be a bit anxiety inducing. And then it's sort of like, particularly for like California and New York, where results come out so late, they're going to come out like November 8th-ish. So we want to really try to not spend so much time. And then, as it gets closer, you will obviously start to think about it more and more. But there's a lot of productive stuff you can do between now and then so that you can be prepared and, and have a plan just in case you don't get good results. And hopefully you do. I hope every single one of you that took the exam, does get a good result. We also, though, don't want you to obsess about the exam. We don't want you to like talk about it or go over analyzing it, but don't just avoid it altogether. Like know when your results are going to be released, know what that process looks like and make a plan for what to do. So what to do? Also, like right now we're waiting for results, right? I know, I think it was like West Virginia came out today and somewhere else, but some jurisdictions will start to get results coming out soon. and literally starting today. But honestly, you guys are all going to be, hopefully a lot of you guys are working now. And if not, like if you have a job lined up, and maybe like my firm, we didn't start working until November. So we had the few months off after the bar. Kind of enjoy this time, try to really kind of chill and just take this time to really be, a more relaxed time, or just really doing stuff that you want to do. Be proactive about other areas of your life that might need attention. So, and the reason I say this is, one, it's just a good idea, but two, if it turns out that that you don't have good news, you don't want to also be handling like all sorts of other stuff. And I'll talk about what these things are, like just really practical things. We'll talk about that in a minute. Know when the results are released in your jurisdiction. California, I think it's going to be, I think it's November 8th, if not the Friday before. I'll double check and we can send this out in an email, but I think it's November 8th, if I'm correct. And I can double check this. But also for the UBE, they always generally, if your jurisdiction doesn't tell you, you can look to see on the NCBE website. I think you have to do it through like the Google archives, but looking at when the results were released last year for your jurisdiction. So we always know approximately the date, even if the jurisdiction doesn't necessarily tell you, we'll know a date range to look for. So they will definitely start to trickle out over the next month or so. This is the website from the NCBE that will tell you when results have been released. And I think if we look at the archive of that particular website where I just put the link in, you can see when the results will be released in your jurisdiction. Also, we want you to create a plan B. So like, this is just, worst case scenario, right? If you didn't get good news, then have your plan B. And I'm going to talk about this as well. So first we'll talk about life needs. So like all of the things that maybe you need to do, right? Like if you need to get a checkup, if you need to go to the dentist, like God, tooth pain is the worst. And I swear it's like when it rains, it pours. So doctor, dentist, like take your car in if you need to get a service, like if you need to get registration renewed, all of those things, like you should be taking care of now and just try to be proactive a bit. Like spend time looking for a job. Probably a lot of people are doing this. It's fairly obvious, but like really looking at that stuff, hopefully looking for a job if you don't have one already. Also, like really make it a priority. Really make it a priority to see your friends, see family, like try to do the stuff, enjoy life a bit. Like honest to God, like really this stuff is so important. And like this is really what hopefully you can use this time to do, because God forbid, you don't get good news, then you want to like, really have done some of this stuff too, and like have just really had good time and really actually like separated from the exam. Yeah. So definitely take time, enjoy life a bit right now too. And I hope you all are doing that a lot right now and just, kind of savoring it. And then making a plan B. So I want to talk about this for a minute. So mentally and emotionally, you want to actually really prepare for this. So, you guys all know how hard you tried, right? And I trust that everybody tried really, really hard studying for this exam. So you want to really like recognize that now and also say like, maybe not right now, but think about like, okay, well, what are things that like you felt about your prep that you liked and maybe that you didn't like? What would you maybe do a little bit differently? Like when you got to the end, were there things that you wish you had done maybe a little bit differently? And you don't want to dwell on this too much, but like you can be a bit more objective about it right now than perhaps after results. And hopefully it turns out that that's just a waste of time and, you're not. And hopefully you're all just celebrating when the results come out. Like I really, really hope that. Mentally and emotionally, there's like shame that goes along with it. There's frustration, all of that stuff. And you want to really like kind of, be aware of that and know that that is really normal. I'm sure you guys are aware of that or maybe have thought about it. And also like, maybe if you haven't thought about it, thinking about it a little bit, like, what that might be like. And maybe talking to people that have, kind of been there or reading stories about that, which can be helpful. Also, like, I don't know about you guys, but maybe tell me in the chat. How has it been? Like, one of the things that drove me nuts was everybody, like friends and family, that like nobody had gone to law school. That not my like law school friends, right? But like most of my friends outside of my law school friends, like hadn't gone to law school. I don't have any lawyers in the family. I was like the first person to go to college. So, and everybody's like, oh, you're so smart. I'm sure you passed. Right. And that was like the most infuriating. It was nice, right? It's nice to hear that and nice that people think that, but they have no idea the difficulty of this test, right? Does that frustrate you guys when you hear that? And I know people are just trying to be really nice and helpful, but like it's to me, it was so not helpful because I'm just like, yeah, but you don't know. And like so many and like smart people, have trouble with this exam all the time. It's tough. So I would just be like, you know what? Like it's okay to tell people like, look, it's not helpful. And if it turns out that I didn't pass, like I actually like don't want to whatever. Like I don't want to hear like, oh, you'll get it next time. Like it's so frustrating and it was kind of maddening. But yeah, like a lot of people are saying yes, yes, yes. Like it is so frustrating. And yeah, a lot of people I know a ton of people that don't tell people that they're taking the exam. So I used to have a letter that when I used to be a professor at a law school or at a few different ones, but that we would give out to friends and family saying like, look, these types of statements aren't helpful. Like the things that are helpful is like make me food, bring me coffee, and help me take care of errands. Like that's the stuff that's helpful. But like prepare people, say like, and yeah, and people don't understand how difficult it is. I totally get that. Like I have been there, like it is incredibly difficult. So it's good to just sort of prepare people in advance. Be like, actually, it's not, it's actually not that helpful. Like I really appreciate the support. And also like hearing that like is just, it actually makes it more difficult. So when all it really is like, my therapist said to me ages ago, all it is like when someone says that, all they're really saying is I love you. And it's actually if you like just like give them like the Charlie Brown adult voices like meh, 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 just like turn it into just like white noise. But yeah, it's difficult. So I think it's really good to, it's a good idea that when people say that, like just to be frank, be like, I don't know what happened, but it's really tough and it's actually like most people find that it's not helpful to hear that. So also good financially to prepare for the exam, just in case you have to. A lot of people, come out of this and or find out maybe that they didn't get good news, and then they're like, well, crap, now I have to pay, for taking the exam again. I have to, maybe take time off work, pay for bar prep, all of that stuff. So you want to sort of think about that stuff and just maybe, to the extent that you can, if you're fortunate enough that you can, just be sort of financially prepared or like know what your options are when that does happen. Know like if you have a free repeat for your bar prep, all of that stuff, just sort of know. And like, if you need to save time off of work, you want to just sort of be prepared and know what those options are when you do have that. So really sort of just like think about stuff financially, planning for that. And also like family and friends, right? One of the difficult things about the having taken the July exam is that it's, results come out and it's in November, December, holiday times, etc. And you want to prepare people that like, and prepare yourself mentally for what is your schedule going to look like? Are you going to be studying? Make sure that you like preserve the time off that you need. And you still can do that, right? Taking vacation, really just planning ahead. So you really just want to be prepared for that, just really as thoroughly as you possibly can. So, but I just want to say too that like, it is okay. It will be okay. It will be okay. And like, you just really want to have a plan in place. And if you want to talk about having a plan, like I am happy to like strategize and plan with people. This is like one thing that we do really regularly. That's something that we do really regularly. We also have our course that we're offering, and I lowered the price on it this time. We have a class called Early Intervention. That's just really, it's good for like while you're waiting for a result. It's a class that I teach live. It's once a week. It's once a week on Wednesday, starting next Wednesday on September 11th. It's $49. I'll give you guys a link for it too. And it's just going to be like a kind of easy, really mellow, really mellow, a little bit of bar prep, review. So you're going to review all of the MBE subjects just a bit. We're going to review the MBE subjects. We're going to do some practice essay writing, some practice issue spotting. We're going to work on the PT a bit. We're going to do MBE strategy. I'm so glad that the PT video is out. You'll have like I'll give you a bit of a study schedule, like of what you should be doing just right now, just to like make sure that, because one of the things that you want to do is maintain some of your Black letter law knowledge. We want to make sure, and this is for California and for UBE, it's the same. So I'll be covering stuff that applies to both, and there will be California essays for practice and MEE essays. And I'm going to talk about the California stuff too, the special changes coming for the Cal Bar. I'm going to definitely talk about that. So this is a class that, yeah, it'll be the same time that we have this session right now, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. It'll be about 45 minutes each week, maybe an hour. just doing a little bit of review of the Black letter law, some essay work, etc. So just it's designed to be a really kind of light, light class. And also, if you pass the bar, if you find out, like if you're waiting for results, you find out that you pass, you get a full refund. So you just have to tell us, like, hey, I passed, I'm gonna get a refund, and we'll give you a full refund. It's just designed to sort of like kind of get you in the groove and like keep everything fresh. And also, it's just like it tends to be really positive and a good overview. So this is something that I recommend for people that are like somebody asked, like a foreign to trained attorney, waiting for results. Like I think something like this can be really helpful. Also, for everybody that took California. And also just as another quick mention, I am going to next week. I will be doing a workshop to cover in depth the 5 essays, and I will do I'm not like a full blown like going through like bit by bit of the PT, but I'll talk about what was tested on the California essays and the PT. And I will do one of these for the UBE once we are allowed to do it, which I think it's either the first week of November or the first week of December. Also, yes, for early intervention, this class that we have, it's recorded. It's always recorded, and you'll have access to the recording through the bar exam. So through the end of February. Yeah, so you can definitely watch it. I record everything that we do. I want to go through the Q&A questions real quick. So I got a few questions in the Q&A, and if you do have a question, please feel free to post it in here, and I will also go through the upcoming changes for California in a few minutes too. Somebody asked, what advice to a foreign trained attorney waiting for results? I would do our early intervention class. It's live and it is also recorded. I do know Coursera. I don't know any of their specific like bar review anything. So I don't know about that specifically, but this is really designed for someone in that position that's waiting. What do I suggest to take from my courses if you hope to take the attorney's exam in Georgia based on your scores in July? You should actually just schedule a consult with me. So somebody asked that, I will put the link so that you can schedule if you want to have like a strategy session with me. If you're waiting for results, I'm going to put this in the chat. If you want to have like a strategy session with me, there is a link to schedule. I might need to update the settings a bit for the dates to make more dates available, but you can schedule a strategy session with me and we can chat through that. If you think that if you're concerned, if you took the exam and you're waiting for results, you should really wait to like really do deep studying until you get the results. Like there is enough time. And if you're really unsure, if you really don't think that you passed, and it's if you really are unsure, or if you're really pretty sure that you didn't pass because maybe you didn't answer an entire question, something like that, right? So like kind of an extreme scenario, right? I walked out of the exam absolutely sure that I failed and I didn't. And that's really, really, really common. So, so don't trust that, voice in your head necessarily. You can always start doing a bit of light review, but I think it's really like once you get results and you know what's going on, that's when I really suggest to really kind of get going and really make a plan. And like we will be available to chat with you about your results, and it's totally free. We'll be available to chat with you when the time comes. And we'll be using actually almost that same link, but not a similar one. And I know that there's somebody in the chat that's looking for a study partner. So I would, you guys, if you want, you can, if you're looking for a study partner, like put that in the chat, and, that can be really helpful too. Do I recommend taking the day off work on the day results are released? It really sort of depends on you. Like if you're working at a firm and everybody knows results are coming out that day, it can be a nightmare to be at work. But I would have plans, because like you don't just want to be at home kind of stewing on it all day. So like I went into work and I left at like 2 or 3. And then like my mom and I had plans and we went and kind of did something, or like have plans with a friend or whatever. So I would definitely have stuff going on that day. But yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare if everybody's asking you about it all day long. So yeah, that's definitely personal, but I would have plans that day. If you are studying, if you know that you're taking February 2025, I wouldn't spend more than 6 months studying. Usually it really depends on the person. If you're a foreign trained lawyer and you didn't go to law school in the US, I would study for a bit longer. But like our core programs, our earliest schedule starts September 1st. So it started just a few days ago. And we have courses that start on the 1st of each month. So you can definitely get started on that. And yeah, Melina, if you want like a few people put in the chat, so you guys should maybe DM each other if you're looking for a study buddy. I think that's great. You can also post it. We have a BarMD Facebook group that you can join. That's just a private group, and people look for study buddies there as well. So I would definitely recommend like posting in that group too. All right, let's talk about some of the changes to the Cal Bar. So, and okay, clarify, having 2 sessions of 49. The early intervention, it's just it covers like the essay subjects and the PTs a little bit. It's just like a brief, just like a really like sort of early, like light review. We're going to cover, some MBE tips, essay tips, a little bit of issue spotting, et cetera, and a little bit on the PT. It's not our full classes. So, but yeah, that's the early intervention class. And we'll send out a link to sign up for that too. So getting to the changes to the upcoming California bar. So yes, California is going to an online remote version of the test. And they are doing that. Because they are doing that, they have signed a contract with Kaplan, and Kaplan is going to be writing and administering what is formerly the MBE, what California has. So it's going to be basically identical from what we can tell and from what they have said, from what the bar examiners and Kaplan have said. It is, I don't think that it will be less expensive. This is how they avoided a massive price increase. So I think if you can take the prototype bar exam in October, is that the one for is that California though? I have to look at that in particular. If you guys want to send me the link to what you're talking about specifically, because I think they send you guys stuff that they don't necessarily send to me. The UBE one is what I thought you all were talking about. Yeah. So there is a prototype UBE that they will pay you to take, the bar examiners. That's UBE, not California, I believe. Yeah. And you can't somebody said you can't do it if you're in California, right? So I wouldn't, necessarily do that because it's a lot of stress and you want to sort of like preserve that energy, I would say, for California, unless you want to be barred in a UBE jurisdiction. But I think they also have to select you. So I wouldn't, you can look at that, look at the requirements, see if they apply to you. But for California, so it's going to be remote. It'll be the 2-day exam. It'll still be the 5 essays and the 90-minute PT. Okay, it closed already. Thanks, Jennifer. So the 5 essays, and then the MBE questions, you will still use whatever MBE program that you had. I'm sure that Kaplan will be releasing some of their MBE type questions. It is not, the NCBE tells you how to draft questions. You really have to be an expert in the subject matter. You really have to be an expert in the subject matter to be able to write questions, and they're really complex to write them. Generally speaking, the real MBE questions are written by, I think it's a minimum of 5 subject matter experts. They're tested a ton. We're not going to see any addition of like new subjects or anything like that. It really will mirror exactly how the bar has been administered over the last few years, for however long. So it's not really going to be any different if you have, if you've used UWorld or Adaptabar in the past, and if you bought that, if you're debating what to buy, then, you can still keep doing that. That will still be the best resource for you. And then we are definitely in BarMD, I'm definitely going to be talking about that for the upcoming exam. We're going to talk about the changes, like as news comes out. We will absolutely be updating you guys. Like I will be doing like free workshops. I'll be doing, a whole bunch of stuff, and I'll post stuff online, etc. Like I definitely stay apprised of this. I've taken sort of the last month off of doing all this stuff after the bar because, I'm exhausted. But yeah, we will definitely keep you guys apprised of all, like any and all updates. I have a text group with a bunch of friends that do bar prep too. And like former colleagues at law schools and professors that are all really on top of this. So yes, California will be remote February 2025. Yes. So that is why they're going to Kaplan. And it'll be fully remote for both of the 2 days. Yes. That was the reason that they're going with Kaplan and they're not doing the MBE with the NCBE anymore, is because the NCBE will not let there be a remote MBE. And to the person that said that should you expect not to have passed the Cal Bar if you didn't fully answer all parts? No, I wouldn't say that, because like that you might have wished you could have made us, like I'm saying, if you just like fully didn't answer an entire essay, then maybe, right? That's a different scenario. But if there's just like part of a question that you didn't fully answer, no, like do not presume that you failed. Like absolutely not. I'm saying if you literally didn't write like an entire essay, then like that's when I'm like, okay, that's probably not going to be good news. And Kaplan is writing, also the essay and the PTs, but they should again be the same. Like the bar examiners have always used, like they're going to use the same people to write essays and PTs that they've always used. So it'll just be through Kaplan now instead of through the Cal bar. So it should not make a difference at all. The bar will still basically be the same. And the only thing we're going to do is we're going to know after the fact if there is anything that feels a little bit different. Yeah, and the attorney exam for California will be remote also. Yes. Yeah, MBE scores were a little bit higher for July. That's fairly typical. I think they're higher than they have been in the past, but it's not so dramatic that it's like such a huge, huge difference. So that's not massively surprising. And it's, yes, they're higher, but it's like just a little bit. So it's not a dramatic thing. So I wouldn't take too much from that either. I think that's basically it that we have for today. The new remote exam will be for this February 2025, as far as we know. So that's for California. I know, and Kaplan is not a good bar. I wouldn't switch it. Kaplan is actually not allowed to do bar prep for California now. So no, like I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't change anything y'all are doing. I literally wouldn't change anything based on the changes to the bar. Like you should not do anything at all. So yeah, remote exam meaning, yeah, you can take it at home. Yep, that's what the remote exam is. And what some people are asking, like, how do you prep for remote exams? I will do stuff on that. We have done the remote exam before, so it's a known thing, and we will be talking about that. What you should be doing to prep for remote exams is practicing as it's going to be. So doing stuff not on paper necessarily. So I will do it. It'll be like the exam was during COVID. Yes, how it will be done. And like in my workshop courses, I am adapting based on that. So and this will absolutely be discussed during early intervention. Yes. All right. So somebody asked, what do higher average? Thanks, Jack. I hope you passed for July too. What is higher MBE score average? It really doesn't mean a whole lot. It just means that people did a little bit better than they normally do, but it's not like people did exponentially better. Like we see a little bit of a bump. So sometimes it's like, oh, the MBE scores were worse, but it's not that much worse. It's like 0.3% worse. So like I wouldn't worry about like these things very much. And also the way that the exam is done, people did better on the MBE than the written part passing is a little bit tougher. So it balances out. It's always sort of balanced out. So I wouldn't put too much into that. The fact that MBE scores were higher. I mean, I think that's obviously a good thing. I think it's obviously a good thing, but don't put too much stock into that. If you are a handwriter, then there will be an option for you to take the exam doing it handwritten. So don't worry about that. There will be more details to be released on that, but you will still have that as an option. Scores will not come back sooner just because the exam is remote, which is really ridiculous, but it won't come back sooner because it still has to go through the essay scoring process, and that's what takes the time. You don't need to get Kaplan past MBE. It's the same stuff. Oh, I'm so happy that somebody said they did the Sunday sessions and they said it definitely helped. So, and Dante, just send me an email, please, if you don't mind. No, it's not unknown. Like California is going to a remote exam. They're doing that to save money. Otherwise, the Cal Bar will be bankrupt. So they're going to a remote exam like for the foreseeable future. And I don't think it will be half remote. Like, no, it's fully remote. And look, some of this stuff, we're going to be following it, as things come out. Like I'm definitely staying apprised of every single change, every single update. I do have a strategy specifically for doing the PT remotely. It is definitely doable. You need to practice it though. So like that is a huge, huge, huge key. Is that you really need to practice doing it remote. Like you can, when you're learning the skills, the fundamental skills, you can do stuff on paper and that's okay to like really understand the process. But like you should absolutely be doing it, just all typed as soon as you can and like just all on the computer. So because you need to really like that is a muscle, that's a skill that you need to really work on. I don't know about the copy and paste yet, actually. That would be helpful, but we don't know about that part just yet. So we'll find out. I don't think so though, is my gut. All right, everybody. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. There's my email address. Somebody said, how do you tell people you failed without them feeling sorry for you? That's a really big question. I would just say, look, I got to take it again. And, I'm going to get it next time. Just something like that. And, and just tell them, be like, look, I don't want any pity. Like, this is my thing. And, I would just be really, really direct with people, to the extent that you can. Like, pity doesn't help. All right, everybody, that is it for today. What does remote mean for the Cal Bar? That means that you're going to be taking the exam at home. So you're not taking it at an exam center. And also, this is somebody actually just asked in the chat or asked in the Q&A, what about telling an employer that you failed? I would actually talk to your employer beforehand. I would talk to your employer beforehand and say, hey, what is the policy in case I didn't pass the exam? And like, what does that look like? So I would actually talk to your employer beforehand. That's something you should definitely do. There may be Pearson VUE as well. Somebody asked about that for the remote option. It may be something like that, but I'm not sure yet. That I don't know. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully I see you all in early intervention. And hopefully I don't see any of you in any of the classes for February. I really wish you guys all the best. And if you guys need anything, please feel free to reach out. We are absolutely here for you. And yeah, good luck. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.